Hey Mung Beans. I'm Joey.
I'm Ashley.
And this is Wine Time Mysteries.
If you're into true crime,
And if the paranormal gets your nips hard,
then this is for you. But before we get started,
make sure to follow us on Spotify and stalk us on Insta and TikTok.
or send your inquiries to winetimemysteries@gmail.com, and we promise to at least try to get back to you.
Lego!
He was just reaching for something and couldn't be bothered getting up.
Something big! Oh! I knew you were going to do it. I felt it. I felt it in my water.
I can't wait for you to regale us. Did I use that right?
You did.
Oh, look at me using big words.
What the fuck's regale? Should we get into it?
Yes, let's get into it. I don't know what accent that was.
I liked it though.
Okay.
We're not in Germany.
No, we're not. Oh.
We're not in Austria.
Yeah, where are we?
We're not in the UK. We are in Europe,
Yeah.
but just not there.
Okay.
That's
cool
really
story. Story checks out.
Today, Mung Beans, we are in Italy.
Yeah.
I had to do one for my family's sake because I will end up marrying an Italian.
Yeah, we've already spoken about this.
Yeah.
And plus
You
your
have-
other husband is Italian. My husband is your husband.
My husband
Your husband.
is, get it right, he's Italian. Today's story is on Leonarda Cianciulli.
One more time.
Leonarda Cianciulli.
I fucking love you. Cianciulli. That's the Australian version of it.
Yeah, but the spelling, see, this shit throws me off so much.
What?
Cianciulli.
No.
Pronounced Cianciulli.
No.
I know because I looked it up.
You lost me at C-I...
And all you heard was,
How'd you know what my brain sounds like?
sometimes
It's white
mine,
noise.
sometimes mine does like, na 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 na.
And then sometimes my flange just goes... That's her coughing. Because your butthole is way more feminine than my flange. She's like, oh yeah, put it in ya, whatever. You're welcome.
Okay, well, it's good to know what you really think. Thank you very much. But back to me. If you have ever listened to any of our episodes, you may notice that I lack a lot of sympathy towards anyone outside of the victims. And today, that kind of changes like a little bit, at least for the first part of today's case.
Yeah.
But I want to be clear in saying that my sympathy does not extend to anything past her upbringing. And I've said it once and I will say it again. It does not excuse future behavior. Get it?
Got it?
Good.
I feel like whenever there is a bad childhood, because they're a child, they're not the dickhead grown up just yet. So it is sad to know that child has gone through.
Oh, for sure. That's where the maximum extent of my
Yeah.
sympathy goes for. Because I've been a kid before. You may not know this about me, but I was born.
Get out.
Yeah.
Did not know that.
I know it's easy to kind of overlook us gays. But I was, and upbringings, it can always be difficult for
Yeah.
everybody. And some people get it a lot worse than others. And unfortunately, she was one of those.
Doesn't excuse.
And it never will. It's what you do with it. Just like a penis.
Yeah. Or fingers. Every time we do the Italian hands, it's like a fisting toy. You know those little fists?
I know what you're talking about. That's why I'm not making eye contact. I
Now it's
looked
flopping
away.
around, see?
Mm, no fists in my butthole.
No.
Born to Emilia Di Nolfi in Montella Avellino, Italy, on the 18th of April, 1894, making her an Aries.
Yeah, I was like so close to me.
Leonarda's conception was the result of her mother being raped.
Oh.
To add insult to injury, she was forced to marry her rapist, Mariano Cianciulli, once it was discovered that she was pregnant.
That's so sad.
I know that we literally just started, but I'm about to take you to Wine Time University, so please take a seat. Take several fucking seats. Do you know that there are many countries that allow rapists to escape criminal prosecution by marrying their victims? In the Philippines, Algeria, Bahrain, Iraq, Angola, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Kuwait, Libya, and Syria, they have laws that the perpetrator of rape or sexual assault can escape punishment by marrying the fucking victim. And did you also know that in Greece, Russia, Serbia, and Thailand, an alleged rapist can avoid prosecution if the victim is underage? And in Singapore, Romania, Thailand, and Turkey, if the victim gives their forgiveness, the perp can just get off the fucking hook. This is referred to as, and I quote, the marry your rapist law. It is archaic, it is damaging, and it needs to fucking stop. Okay, back to today's case.
But it's like 2021, you know?
That's what I mean. Fucking change it. And it being called the marry your rapist law. Sorry, but no.
I'm putting my pitchfork down.
Due to how Leonarda was conceived, her mother resented her. The sad thing is that just like Amelia, Leonarda wasn't to blame for what Mariano did. Like, I get it.
Because they'll look a bit like your rapist.
But it's not her fault.
Yeah, it's not her fault.
So they were pretty poor, and as I just mentioned, she was resented, so she didn't get a chance to grow up in a household full of love, which is really shitty. Mariano would end up dying. Vaffanculo figlio di puttana, which is like, go fuck yourself, son of a bitch. I couldn't find when it happened or how, but I'm pretty sure that the general consensus would be that, like us, none of our listeners would give a shit. He died, wah, wah, wah.
Yeah.
If he was alive, I'd do it again. Amelia would remarry, but this would not change the tide of their financial woes, and they stayed impoverished. That just means poor.
Oh, thank you.
I couldn't find any records of her being physically abused in the house by her mother, but I am almost certain that there would have been emotional abuse, especially if you knew that you weren't wanted, and that's really horrible. And I'm sure she knew that she wasn't wanted or loved, which honestly would have really sucked. Which again is not cool for Leonarda, but I can also understand psychologically what that would have done to Amelia. Well before getting married, Leonarda would seek advice from a Romani, and they are just Indo-Aryan ethnic people, traditionally nomadic, like gypsies.
Yeah.
And I don't say that in the insult way.
No.
I say that in the beautiful idea that I have of this like Disney style gypsy that drives around in a cart and is a fortune teller, and
Yes.
it's like a romantic idea for me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm so into that.
Now, the Romani would tell her that she would get married and have children. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
But she also said that they would die young.
Oh,
So like, cheers for that. Yeah, that's great news. Thanks.
thanks.
Thanks, Romani. When she was a little older, she would marry. I couldn't find the exact dates or anything like that because I just didn't have them, unfortunately. But what we do know is that her mother chose a wealthy suitor, and Leonarda said, "No, grazie, non mi interessa. I don't care, ma. Mamma, get the fact."
Yeah, we're doing lots of Italian gestured hands.
I just wish I was Italian. Instead, she would marry a registry clerk named Raffaele Pansardi, and he was quite a bit older than what she was, but it turned out she really loved him. Mummy Dearest, however, was really unhappy with that decision, so she reportedly cursed Leonarda and her husband. And I was like, yeah, good one, fucking old mole. Curses on you, little witchy poo. Well, unfortunately, after being cursed, she did kind of end up living a bit of a damned life. So you might argue whether or not the curse was real. For example, in 1927, she would get arrested for fraud and sent to prison. In 1930, her house was destroyed in an earthquake, and throughout her marriage, she would be pregnant 17 times, have 3 miscarriages, and 10 of her children died while they were young,
Fuck off.
like the Romani said.
But 17 children?
The tides would turn, however, and they would gain some financial stability, so things kind of seemed to be on the up and up. And soon, they even had their own small business where she would sell soap. It's kind of cute.
Yeah.
The story that's being painted so far is like you had a really crappy upbringing. Okay, cool. But you got married, you ended up eventually having children, and you have a husband and you have a business. So it sounds like it's kind of getting better, which is good. She would meet another Romani because apparently she didn't learn a lesson the first time. This time it was a palm reader who told her that they saw prison in Cianciulli's right hand and a criminal asylum in her left. And if you're going by what the last Romani said and the accuracy of that, you're probably like, oh.
Yeah, my face is,
So, this brings us to 1939, and World War II had broken out, and Italy was going to fight on the side of Germany.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Europe. Plus, of course, they're going to side with the Germans over the English.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, but also you see what the Germans are doing. You ain't gonna fuck with that.
Right, but that's what I mean, because obviously it was Nazi Germany at that time. Mm-hmm. And that was fucking Mussolini. He was the one who decided that he was going to invest in that. Fuck him. Leonarda's son, Giuseppe.
I just did that really loud.
You good? You good? You good, mate?
Just saying hello.
Leonarda's son, Giuseppe, was designated to be part of the Italian army, but he was her favorite son, you see. So she was like, oh my god, this is the curse. It's coming back to take like yet another one of my fucking kids, and I'm not gonna fucking have it.
Yeah, I reckon that's how she sounded.
So she decided that she was going to protect him at all costs. She needs to protect her son. I believe he was also her oldest surviving child.
Yeah,
So some could say it was her first kid, technically. Leonarda would become a very respected member of her village and would offer other services in her little soap shop, from sweet cakes to fortune telling, matchmaking to job procurement. This lady was doing it all. Italy's fucking early answer to Martha Stewart.
Yeah.
For example, Faustina Santi was a middle-aged unmarried woman who would use Leonarda's matchmaking services, and through her helped find a man in Pola, which is just modern-day Croatia. Because they used to be named different things. Who knew? Who she was going to end up marrying. She advised Seti to write letters and postcards to her family after she got to Pola, but it's not like she was just doing this out of the kindness of her heart. Leonarda was also making cheddar, baby.
Oh, yeah.
The fee was 30,000 lira, which was equivalent to like $17.94 at the time. Through inflation, that would be a little over $330 today.
Fuck.
Right, so they ended up meeting up one morning for like a celebratory glass of wine before Faustina would set off. Then there was Francesca Soavi, who was also middle-aged and wanted new prospects, so Leonardo found her a job at a school for girls in Piacenza, which is modern-day northern Italy. Her fee was only 3,000 lira, and she too was advised to send letters and postcards to her family. She would also meet up with Leonardo for one last little drink before leaving. Now, it is said that these fees that she charged, because they're all different, she was basically asking for their life savings. Like, that was all the money they had.
Yeah.
And she was like, that's the cost of it. You want this stuff set up, I will do it for you, but it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
So I kind of understand, like, in a business mind, how if you're going to be offering someone something...
Yeah, it's like a tattoo. You don't pay $20 for, you know what I mean, compared to $200.
And last but not least, Virginia, Italian last name. And last but not least, Virginia Cacioppo. And she was a former soprano singer who had, in her heyday, performed at La Scala, which was a famous opera house in Milan. And she was looking for a new job. And while she wasn't singing anymore, she longed to be involved in the opera scene. And it really didn't matter to what degree. So Leonardo found her a job in Florence as a secretary to an impresario. And they're basically just someone who organizes and finances concerts and plays and operas. So she was like, I don't care to what degree. Hook a sister up. And she was like, okay, sis. I got you, sis. Clickety, clackety, clickety, clackety. That's 50,000 lira, please. And she was like, no problem, hon. So she did. And she was advised to do the same thing as the last people. And then they had a celebratory drink. And then she was off on her ways. So, sure, she made bank from these people. But it really does seem like she was still kind of nice regardless of her upbringing. Well, this is where I pull the rug out from under you.
I've been waiting for it. I'm like, oh,
you're like, this just sounds like a nice story. What the fuck?
This is just too nice.
Well, you see, Faustina absolutely met up with Leonardo for a glass of wine before she left, but she didn't know that it would be the last glass of wine that she would ever have, or that it were drugged. So, upon falling unconscious, Leonardo murdered her with an axe and dragged her body into the closet, where she was hacked into 9 pieces, and she collected the blood in the basin. What's your face doing?
Okay. What?
I said pulling the rug out from under you.
Well, I think I'm just surprised that she hacked them up because normally a woman's.
Well, it was though.
Yeah.
She still drugged her.
But then
she went there.
Okay.
She threw the 9 pieces into a pot, added 7 kilos of caustic soda, and stirred until the mixture had turned into a thick, dark mush. Then she poured it into several buckets and disposed of it in a nearby septic tank. No body, no crime. No body, no crime. The blood she collected in the basin was left to coagulate before it was dried in the oven, ground down, and mixed with flour, sugar, chocolate, milk, eggs, and margarine. Waste not, want not, honey. She then used said ingredients to make her tea cakes, which she gave to visitors and neighbors.
Fuck off.
But not all of them. The rest were eaten by herself and her son, Giuseppe.
Yep. No.
It's because you thought it's going one way and it goes left very quickly.
Yeah.
The same thing happened to Francesca, only she sold her tea cakes in her store. And as for Virginia, well, let me read what happened in Leonarda's own words, translated into English, of course, not by me, but by fancy people who can speak Italian.
Fancy pants.
She ended up in the pot like the other 2. Her flesh was fat and white. When it had melted, I added a bottle of cologne, and after a long time on the boil, I was able to make some most acceptable creamy soap. I gave bars to neighbors and acquaintances. The cakes too were much better. That woman was really sweet.
I was kind of waiting for that, to be honest.
For what?
I was like, she made these people into fucking soap.
Have you ever had black pudding? Mm-mm. Look, the idea of it's disgusting, but I fucking love it.
Wait, isn't that actual? No.
It's like sheep's blood sausages.
Yeah, that's what Ew. Are you my mother? Yuck.
Yes. Surprise, bitch. I had you when I was 4. Surprise, bitch. Her third and final victim would be her undoing, as Virginia's sister-in-law, which was strange that it was a sister-in-law, grew super suspicious about her disappearance and reported it to the local police, stating that the last time she saw her, she was entering Leonarda's house. Gotcha, bitch. Leonarda was arrested shortly after, but played the deny game until she found out that her son Giuseppe had the finger of suspicion pointed in his direction, and that's her little baby, her little pride and joy. So she copped to it and gave a full confession.
Good. I was about to say, if she pushed him under the bus.
Oh, she would never. But why did she kill him? And the answer is, according to her, if she was to stave off this curse, she would need to pay a heavy price, and that price would need to be paid to the higher powers, and she believed that human sacrifice, or 3, would suffice to save Giuseppe. She still had 3 other children too, just so you know, but she was like, fuck them, here's the apple of my eye.
Whatever.
Her trial would last a few days, and she would get sentenced to 30 years in prison and 3 years in a criminal asylum. Dunk, dunk, Romani strikes again.
Yeah.
I'm not messing with those people. I don't want to know.
No.
Don't tell me nothing. So obviously the Romani was pretty on the nose. So in prison, she decided to write a book, I believe. And it wasn't like my life in laughs. How I overcame poverty. It wasn't anything like that.
Baking with me.
Kind of. Her book was about how to make soap or food or whatever out of body parts.
Fuck off.
It was something along those lines. I'll look it up, so don't quote me on it, but it was like along those lines. Apparently, at one point, they didn't believe that a little old lady would be able to do what she said she did, and they still suspected her son or husband of doing these things, right? So they conducted a little experiment, and they took her down to a morgue and gave her permission to dissect a body to prove that she could do it, because they were like, there's no way this little lady is going to be able to do that. Well, she was able to dissect a body into 9 pieces in under 12 minutes, proving that she did it and that it wasn't anybody else. Leonarda died on October 15th, 1970, so that doesn't feel like it was even that long ago. Of cerebral apoplexy, which I think is like a stroke which caused some type of hemorrhage, I think. But that is pretty much the story. I mean, it kind of feels like a little anticlimactic, but that is the story of Leonarda Cianciulli.
I have so many questions. I think the biggest one is, obviously she bakes. How does she know what stuff is going to go together? You know what I mean? Like, you add human to fucking cakes. How... You know what I mean? Like how you know to mask certain tastes and you know
Well,
what I mean? Like
the funny thing is, and I also know this from YouTube, because there's this old bread that they used to make called blood bread, and it doesn't actually provide you any flavor of blood. You can't taste the blood in it whatsoever.
Yeah.
For the blood bread, it just gives it a color. Which is like a dark brown kind of color. And you're not going to get that because she's already using chocolate in her thing anyway, so it's just going to look like a normal tea cake. But they're obviously good enough for her to eat them. She ate them.
that's fucking gross.
And then she made them again and sold them, so we weren't complaining.
I mean, that was great, but no.
But I thought the same thing, like at first, before I saw the
Super
other thing, I was like, how would they know?
Yeah.
They're literally only adding one extra ingredient to it that has no flavor when it's cooked, so it doesn't actually do anything.
Like, yeah, I'm not crazy or a chef, I guess. So I'm like, I don't know that.
I just kind of liked how it went from, like, it went bad upbringing, kind of good, and then, like, bad.
I mean, she did well to get rid of the bodies. Gold star? You know what I mean? Like,
No. I don't know if that's what we're celebrating. If you want to drug someone and fuck their butthole, I can tell you how. Just follow Wine Time Mysteries on Spotify. No, I'm kidding. We hope you enjoyed that, and thank you for the people who have been following us and engaging with us. We really appreciate all of the support.
Yeah.
So
see you later, mung beans.
bye.
Good.